I discovered a secret warning from my boyfriend's ex, and the terrifying truth was revealed. It all started when I noticed a small, torn envelope wedged between some old books on the top shelf of my boyfriend Jack's study. We had been dating for about 6 months, and everything seemed perfect. Until that moment. The envelope was yellowed with age, its edges frayed. I hesitated before pulling it out. The name on the front caught my eye, written in hurried, slanted handwriting. For whoever needs this warning. My stomach twisted into knots, but curiosity won out. I carefully opened the envelope, pulling out a single folded piece of paper. My hands trembled as I read the message inside. If you're reading this, it means you've met Jack. He probably seems wonderful, charming even. But there's something you need to know. He's not who you think he is. Please, for your own sake, leave before it's too late. There was no signature, but something about the way it was written, in a rushed yet fearful tone, made my skin crawl. I felt cold, as though a shadow had fallen over the room. I shoved the letter back into the envelope, my heart pounding in my chest. What did this mean? Jack had never mentioned anything about his ex-girlfriends, not in any detail. Was this from one of them? Why would she leave such a warning? I told myself it was probably just a jealous ex trying to scare me off. Yet, something gnawed at the back of my mind. What if she was telling the truth? That night, Jack came home from work, his usual laid-back self, cracking jokes and flashing me his warm smile. But all I could think about was the letter. Every time he spoke, I felt uneasy, my eyes darting to his every movement, every glance. "Everything okay?" Jack asked, his brow furrowed as he noticed me acting distant. I forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But the seed of doubt had already been planted. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I began to notice little things. How Jack would avoid certain topics when I asked about his past. How he'd become defensive when I mentioned his previous relationships. I decided to do some digging. I started by searching through old social media posts, trying to find anything that might give me more insight into Jack's exes. There wasn't much to go on. His profiles were scrubbed clean. But I found one post, from years ago, tagged by a woman named Emily. The caption read, "You think you know someone." The tone was bitter, cryptic. I clicked through to her profile, but it was private. Frustrated, I went back to the letter. Something about the handwriting seemed familiar. I compared it to an old birthday card Jack had given me, one where he'd written my name on the front. My heart skipped a beat. The slanted letters matched. It was Jack's handwriting. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The ex hadn't written the letter. Jack had. But why would he warn someone about himself? I felt a chill run down my spine. I needed answers, and I needed them fast. That night, I waited until Jack was asleep and crept back into his study. I searched through his drawers, digging deeper, more desperate than before. Beneath a stack of old papers, I found a locked box. It was small, made of polished wood. My heart raced as I picked it up. I couldn't find a key, so I grabbed a paperclip and fiddled with the lock until it clicked open. Inside were dozens of photos, old and new, all of different women. My stomach dropped as I recognized one of them, Emily, the girl from the social media post. But there were others too, none of whom Jack had ever mentioned. And then I found something that made my blood run cold. A journal. I flipped it open, scanning the pages, each entry more disturbing than the last. Jack had written about each woman in his life, how he had manipulated them, controlled them, and eventually driven them away. His words were chilling, methodical, as if he took pleasure in their suffering. But the last few entries were the worst. He'd written about me. My hands shook as I read his latest thoughts, how he had grown tired of me, how he was preparing to end things, just like he had with the others. He even detailed plans to isolate me from my friends and family, breaking me down piece by piece until I was nothing. I felt sick. The person I had trusted, the man I had fallen in love with, wasn't just manipulative. He was dangerous. I had to get out of there, but I knew I couldn't confront him. Not yet. I packed a small bag, taking only what I needed, and quietly slipped out of the apartment. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay. As I drove away, my heart still pounding, I realized just how close I had come to losing myself completely. The letter, Jack's twisted self-warning, had saved me. But as I looked in the rearview mirror, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over, that Jack wouldn't let me go so easily. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please subscribe this channel and like the video.